This week on World Traveler Cooking, we're going to make a lovely dish from the south of France, Ratatouille. Now, as a kid I used to eat Ratatouille, but the American version I didn't like very much because it always had this really strong eggplant flavor. So I'm going to show you how to get rid of that flavor and make this wonderful French stew that has delighted many generations before us, and I'm sure will for many generations after. This is, at its core, a zucchini and eggplant stew with some other vegetables and seasonings. And I'll talk with you about what you can use if you don't have something, what you can substitute in, what's optional, that sort of thing. So this is a really nice dish. I strongly recommend learning how to make it and learning how to make it well. As far as the ingredients go, I have 2 medium eggplant, about 1 kilogram of zucchini here. I have 2 smallish red peppers. I would say use 2 large red peppers if you can. So I'm throwing in another half of a red pepper. I have 6 smallish tomatoes. You can use more or less if you'd like. I have 3 cloves of garlic. I have about 200 grams of onions. That's about half a pound. I'll add a little bit of salt and pepper, a bay leaf, and I like to add a bit of French white wine to it. That part's totally optional. You don't have to do that. Additionally, there are 2 more ingredients that I don't have out here for reasons of space. I have some tomato paste and some olive oil. So those are the ingredients. Next, I'm going to cut these and I'll set up my pan and I'll start frying. So we're going to start by adding 2 to 3, maybe a little more tablespoons of olive oil. Be generous. The eggplant will come out better if you use more olive oil. Now the secret to getting the eggplant flavor out is to cook the eggplant slowly and for a longer period of time. So you need to cook it minimally 3 minutes, but I usually go like 5 or 10. So come back when the oil's hot. So as soon as we can smell the olive oil, we're going to go ahead and add our vegetable, our first batch of vegetables. This is the onions and the eggplant. And we're going to go ahead and stir this for at least 3 minutes, but I would recommend doing longer, like 5 or 10. And this will start to blunt the smell and flavor of the eggplant. And the eggplant will then add this really nice richness to the stew. So I'm going to go ahead and be back in 5 or 10 minutes after I've stirred this for a while and let it saute. Now, a lot of French recipes do this under a high heat. I like this for a longer time under a lower heat, so I'm cooking at about medium. I'm going to turn it up a bit. At this point I can really start to smell the onions, and once you can smell the onions, you can add your peppers. But you don't have to right away. You can let it cook a little bit longer if you'd like. I'm going to let it cook a little longer, then I'll add the peppers, and then the zucchini and tomatoes after that. So at this point I can smell the onions, and most of the eggplant is looking darkened on at least 2 sides. I think this is a good point to add the pepper. So I'll add the red pepper and I'll just stir that in. And I will continue to cook this on a medium to medium-high heat. But I'll also be prepping my zucchini and my tomatoes. Alright, so now that these are cooked down a little bit, I'm going to start adding the rest of the ingredients. And I usually make a big enough batch of this that it's actually a challenge to do it in this pot. So we'll go ahead and see how this works. You know, not too bad, but it definitely does fill up this pot. And I'm going to very carefully fold this in. I'm going to add my bay leaf, my sprigs of thyme, my garlic, which should be peeled. Since I haven't peeled the garlic, I'm going to do that at this point. But I guess first I'm going to go ahead and stir this up a little bit so it doesn't burn. So come back to that one since that one's taking. After I add the garlic and stir it up, then I'll be back, because then I'll add my wine and tomato paste and so forth. So as I stir it, what I usually do is I scoop to the middle and then lift. That seems to work fairly well even when you have a really full pot. And we want the bay leaf and so forth to get down. So let's go ahead and stir that in. Same with the thyme. I add a bit of white wine. This is totally optional. And it's also worth noting that some recipes suggest that you peel the tomatoes. If you want to do that, that's fine. The way to do it is to blanch them and then just pull the peels off. But I don't do that usually. Now we're just going to cover this. I'm going to add a bit of salt and pepper. I'm just going to leave this color covered for another like 20 minutes, or basically until it's as done as I'd like. And I'm noticing I forgot to add the tomato paste, so let me do that. This is another optional ingredient. Add about a tablespoon. It can be a little more, it can be a little less. And if you don't like it, don't add it at all. Then we're going to stir this up again. Sorry. And you can already see how the tomatoes are cooking. All right. Now this will just simmer for a bit until it's how we like it. So after 15 or 20 minutes, I've stirred this once or twice. In the meantime, this is looking just about done to me. I like it with the eggplant much more done than the zucchini. So there is that. And yeah, I think this is about ready. I guess we will plate now. Given the bright colors on this, I think I'm going to use a white plate. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to scoop some onto the plate. I'm just going to kind of mound it up. And then I could garnish it, for example, with thyme, or I could put a poached egg on top. That would be really good. But I'm just going to go ahead and eat it like this for the taste test. So here's the ratatouille. Now for the taste test. And now for the taste test. I'm going to start off with a piece of zucchini. Zucchini is very nice. It has sort of the standard zucchini flavor plus a little bit of the seasonings and so forth that we added. The flavor of the pepper is surprisingly complex. Very, very nice. Now I'm going to try a piece of the eggplant, and then I'll try just a spoon of it all together. So the eggplant is still really meaty in its consistency, but it doesn't have any bitterness or any of that like heavy flavor that you sometimes get with undercooked eggplant. This is really, really delightful. I really like it. Definitely something I make many times already, and I will make many times more. So here's a big scoop of everything. The flavors of everything come together in a way that I really just can't describe. This is a dish you gotta try. Completely recommend it. Now, if you find this content interesting, I hope I've earned a subscription and a like from you. Please click the little bell to make sure that you'll get notifications of any other videos I do. And always feel free to comment about what you think I could do better, or what you think other cooks should know when they're making these dishes, because that adds to the value of my work. So, at any rate, recipe is in the description. Bon appetit, and see you next week.